Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome yet again to this episode of Dinner Guide. My name is Chef Andy, and as usual I've got something really good and in store for all of you. Today we are going to be making some very sweet and appetizing meals. We're going to be making a Brennan Banana Foster. We're also going to be making some chocolate brownie, which we're all going to serve together right at the end. But before we do so, we're going to start off by introducing the ingredients. So from the front, I've got some cocoa powder, some icing sugar, and some regular sugar. I also have some 4 pieces of bananas that have already been peeled, some 2 eggs there, 2 scoops of vanilla ice cream, a bit of some all-purpose flour, and then we also have some white rum, some olive oil, some vanilla essence, some sugar as well, and last but not least, some butter. So we're going to take a short commercial break now and give you this opportunity to grab your pens and papers if you're taking notes. And when we come back, we're just going to go dive right into it. So please don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who are just catching up, we've just been introducing the ingredients now, and I'm just about to start with the first dish of the day, which is a chocolate brownie. So for that, you'll need some very simple items for that. You'll first of all need a sieve, which is basically going to allow you to sift your flour. You'll also need a whisk, plastic or metal, doesn't really matter. And you'll also need a baking dish that has already been greased. So all we did to this was apply a bit of some butter on the inside, and then we dusted it with a bit of flour. So this is basically where we're going to be baking our cake. So first off, we're going to start off by sifting our dry ingredients. And for that, I'll be sifting 3/4 cups of flour. And to that now, we're just going to proceed to add all our other ingredients. So start off with 1/2 cup of sugar. We're also going to crack into that 2 whole eggs. Right after that, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And we're also going to add 1/2 cup of cocoa powder. But just before we finish that off, we also have some butter, which we're going to first of all melt really quickly in our microwave. So I'm just going to let that melt really quickly. Right, also something you also need to remember at this step, very important to preheat your oven. So our oven is now nice and hot, ready to go. So have your oven ready to go, set it anywhere between 180 to 200 degrees. So once you're done mixing everything together, that should just go straight into your oven. So we're just going to grab our butter, and I'm going to add about 1.5 tablespoons, and I'll reserve the rest. And all you're going to do now is, using a whisk, begin to combine all your ingredients together. Right now, you might actually get to a point where you realize your mixture is very dry, almost too stiff to mix. So for that, always have at least a bit of milk reserved. So to that, I'm going to incorporate just a little bit of milk, just to really get our cake mixture in its right texture. So I'm just going to remove that. And now we're going to add about 1/3 cup to begin with. and then just start to mix your ingredients together. And always, always as well, always remember not to add too much liquid at once. You may actually add too much and you may not be able to recover your mixture. So I always insist, always add a little bit at a time and mix thoroughly to make sure everything is all incorporated well in your bowl. So this is still a little thick. We're going to add just a little more milk and proceed. Combine all our ingredients. And our mixture is just about ready now. But just proceed to mix for about another 4 to 5 minutes continuously, just to make sure you actually have all your ingredients well incorporated in there. And now, just to finalize that, I'm also going to add a tablespoon of some oil. So I'm using olive oil for this recipe. So all you need to do now is, once that is mixed together, all you need to do is now transfer that into your baking dish. And always start by pouring your mixture right in the center and just allow the mixture to spread on its own. And also take a bit of time as well using your whisk to make sure to not waste any of your mixture. So just take a bit of time to really get all your brownie mixture into your baking dish. And now your mixture is now ready to go into your oven. So as I mentioned, the oven is already preheated. We're going to be baking this between 180 and 200 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes. So we're just going to slide that into the oven. And all you're left to do now is calibrate your timer to anywhere between 15 and 20 minutes. And now just allow your cake to continue baking. And while that proceeds, we're also now going to jump onto the Foster recipe. So I'm just going to refresh my counter. Right. So you can now grab a small knife. And now all you're left to do now is begin by reheating a pan. Right, so we're going to give that just a few seconds to heat up. Into that, we're also going to proceed to make our banana foster, which of course you'll need just a little bit of sugar for the caramelizing. You'll also need about 4 pieces of banana, and you'll also need about a tablespoon of butter. So begin by allowing your pan to first heat up. Into that, add your butter. And just move your pan around, allowing your butter to melt completely and to coat the surface of your pan. At this stage now, you can now proceed to add your sugar. So just sprinkle your sugar on the surface of the pan. And now proceed to add your bananas. And basically at high heat, just allow those to cook for just a few minutes until they start to really brown on the outside. But very, very important to have your pan at high heat. Remember, that will actually really kickstart the caramelizing process of the dish. So just toss your bananas in there, allowing most of that caramel to really touch most of the surface of the banana. And now basically just allow your bananas to cook. Right, so using a pair of tongs, just continue to turn those around in your pan. And very important to actually pay very close attention to your pan at this stage. Remember, this could really burn very quickly. So very, very important to actually pay attention to the process. And just proceed to continue tossing everything in your pan together. Right, so to that we also have a bit of icing sugar. I'm just going to sprinkle just a bit of that over the top. Remember, the addition of sugar does actually really impact caramelizing quite a bit. And that extra addition of sugar does actually do two things. It actually really gives that banana a very, very beautiful flavor in general. And it also speeds up the process of caramelizing in general. Right, so your bananas have now been in the pan for anywhere between 5 to 7 minutes. So we can actually at this stage now turn down our heat and proceed to move your bananas onto a plate. And having your pan back on the heat, just grab a bit of that ram and add to your pan, moving your pan around. Just allow a bit of time for your sauce to just combine. And now proceed to just turn off your pan and allow that to proceed to cool off. Now basically that is as easy as it is to make your Brennan Banana Foster. So now all we are left to do is just proceed to the final and the last stage, which is the plating. But before we do so, we are going to take a commercial break now. We're also going to give our brownie just a bit of time to finish cooking. And when we do come back, we're basically going to go straight into the last and final process of plating our dish. So just before we do so, I'm just going to move that sauce into a bowl. And we can now just allow that to cool off. And when we come back from the break, I'll be able now to take you into the next step of just plating that simple dish. And I'm also going to show you what the brownie looks like. So please don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back once more. For those of you who are just catching up with us, we've just been doing some very, very beautiful things. We already now have our brownie that's ready to come out. We also have our caramelized bananas in front of me. I also have some icing sugar and some chocolate, which I'll show you what we'll do it in a short while. But first off, we're going to start off by taking our brownie out of the oven. I'm just going to set that there. Just give that a few minutes to just cool off. And now basically very, very simple. We're just going to go into the plating process. So very, very simple. Remember, we are actually presenting a Brennan Banana Foster. So the banana is now ready and the sauce is also here. So I'll start first off by placing a bit of that sauce on the plate and just using a spoon, just going to give it a bit of life by just giving it a bit of an appearance. Simple as that. Next up, just grab your bananas and begin to place them on your plate. And remember, you're more than welcome to try any other technique you prefer to plate. Is very much okay with us. Right, so bananas on the plate, simple as that. And just to give it also a bit of an oomph, we also have a bit of icing sugar as well as some chocolate, which we're going to grate in a little bit. But before we do so, I'm just going to rush this way quickly and grab a bit of the ice cream that you were to serve this with. So this I'll just basically just put on the plate just as it is, and then proceed to just finish off by garnishing lightly with a bit of chocolate and a bit of some icing sugar. So I'm just going to use a grater and just lightly just let a few shavings of that beautiful dark chocolate sit on your plate like that. And then next up, a bit of some icing sugar. Just over your bananas, just to give it a nice fresh appearance. Simple as that. And that I would just naturally just serve that with a bit of brownie on the side. And basically that would just be ready to cut in any second now. So I'm just going to move that onto a plate. So very simply just grab your dish and just turn it over onto your plate. And as you can see, your brownie will just simply slide out. We could probably just turn that upside down. And once again, just finish that off with just a nice light dusting of some icing sugar. And also just a little bit of some chocolate shavings. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is as easy as it is to make a banana foster with a bit of some brownie on the side. And last but not least, a bit of ice cream just to refresh the dish. I would love to thank you so much for tuning in today, and I hope you've actually learned something that you can incorporate in your very own kitchens at home. From our end, we're done, and basically that is as simple as it gets. And until the next episode, where we continue to bring some lovely and very inspiring simple dishes for you all to be able to, that you can all be able to do at home yourselves. My name is Chef Andy. I would love to thank you so much for tuning in today. Thank you so much for being with us right through the show. And I also want to remind you, we also do have a Facebook page. Do actually check it out. If you have any questions, any queries, or any comments pertaining this particular show, me and my directors would definitely love to hear from you. So from the studios and myself, it's another warm thank you from my side. And until the next episode, we'll see you soon. Have a lovely day.